สนับสนุนโดยเมืองไทยประกันชีวิต
คุณผู้ชมคะขอต้อนรับกลับมานะคะในช่วงที่ 3 ของรายการตอบโจทย์ SME ค่ะวันนี้ปุ้ยฝ้ายก็ยังคงอยู่กับอาจารย์เควินนะคะเพื่อพูดคุยกันเกี่ยวกับธุรกิจและก็การพัฒนาธุรกิจสำหรับปี 2016 ที่กำลังจะมาถึงนี้แต่ก่อนที่เราจะไปพูดคุยถึงประเด็นนั้นกันเดี๋ยวเราจะไปดูกันก่อนนะคะสำหรับการ add value หรือว่าการเพิ่มมูลค่าให้กับสินค้าที่เราอยู่ในมือแล้วมีของแล้วทำยังไงคะให้ขายให้ได้มากขึ้นให้ได้กำไรมากขึ้น Kevin, I have this very interesting question for you because my friends have been asking. They've been doing a lot of business. For example, they're selling fabric.
Yes.
Fabric without printing is one price.
Yes.
With another printing, nice silky style.
Yes.
With horse prints on it, maybe another price.
Okay.
Would you recommend how we could add value to our products? Not just fabric, everything.
Okay. So, concept of adding value is exactly what it means. You are going to do something to the product from the product that you received. You're going to do some activities, do some design, do some manufacturing to add value to that product so it can be sold for more money to the customer. And it's something that the customer will value. So the first point is before you decide what value to add to your product, you should ask the customer what will they value to have you do to the product. So in your example of the fabric manufacturing, perhaps they want you to actually make them a pillow. So you take the fabric and you put it on something, right? And then give them a complete product that has got the fabric and the product.
Pillow. So that way you can expand more of your business as well. Not only the pillowcase.
Yes.
Not only fabric.
Yes.
But the whole pillow.
Exactly. And the key to remember on adding value is you have to figure out in your business what is it you do best. And however you're going to add the value, it should seem obvious that you're going to add the value from doing more of what it is you do best. So if you're a fabric designer in your example, then perhaps you can offer your fabric design services to other businesses and add value to other businesses. To add value, you first of all need to know what it is you are really good at, because that's where doing more of that is the area where you're likely to add the most value because you do that better than anyone else.
Right. So that's for the product. What about if someone's into service? How could they add value?
Oftentimes in the service industry, value is added by add-on. And McDonald's has this famous case of if you ordered a hamburger, they ask two questions. Would you like fries with that? Would you like a Coca-Cola with that? Right? They're offering add-ons. So when you have a service, you have to think of what else would the customer naturally buy at the same time that they're buying your core service. And you have to sometimes either you can ask customers or you can sometimes watch customers. So what else do customers buy at or about the same time as they're buying your product and services? And it would be very valuable to that customer to get those products or services from you also.
So it's still very important to seek what is that value that you have and add-ons.
Absolutely. Anything. You have to know your own strengths and when you're using your strength, you have the greatest probability of succeeding. It's rare that anybody succeeds by using their weaknesses. It doesn't work at school, it doesn't work at sports, and it does not work in business. You have to appeal to your strengths.
So we have covered already innovations.
Yes.
Value add-ons. And now, as you are also the CEO yourself, you've been through so many businesses, and latest I heard you are the consultant.
Yes.
Could you tell us which company?
Yes, I work now for a company called, I'm a partner in a company called Future Workplace. And Future Workplace does exactly what it sounds like. It is helping companies, large corporations, interpret the trends that are affecting the changes to the workplace. And so there are several different types of trends that change the workplace. One is what are the expectations of employees in the year 2015, 2016. It's a different office when you join now than if you joined 5 years ago. And there are different expectations for how you'll be treated, for the technologies that you will be able to use, that you'll be able to use Facebook at work, and some other expectations. Two, there are different technologies in how you get your work done that changes. And the challenge for companies is, how do all their human resource policies keep up and keep ahead of all the changes that are going on with their employees?
Wow, so you're like this one man that has to look at so big picture of that company, and
Yes.
that's consulting.
That's consulting.
Whoa.
Well, because in all consulting, clients are busy running the business of their business. And a lot of times why clients bring in consultants is to look at something or do something that they don't have the time or the energy or the focus to do. So in our case, our full-time job is to keep examining the trends that are affecting the company. We're doing that full-time. For our client, they only have a portion of their time that they can afford to be spending examining their environment. But the rest of the time, they have to be spending doing the operations of their business. And sometimes they appreciate that extra perspective.
Right.
They can agree with us, they can disagree with us, but at least they have a different perspective and they can make better decisions.
Wow, what I think for like such big business, sometimes we have to maybe read books about it.
Yes.
Because it's so complicated. You have to tell me if you have like good books.
I'm writing a book. I will have a good book.
Yes?
Yes.
About
Well,
this workplace?
Yes, I didn't tell you
Wow.
before, but writing a book called The Disruptive Workplace. And it will be a book for the human resources employees
Wow.
of companies. And it will help them identify all the major trends that are changing how they do their job or how they should think about doing their job.
Now I have to go to the bookstore and find somewhere.
Not until 2016.
All right.
It's not finished yet.
All right, I'm already eager to read it because I also want to, improve my business and how I could improve all the workplace. Well, because sometimes you don't get opportunities to see things, right?
Yes.
We have to
yes.
maybe read books.
I'll make sure to send you a copy.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet of you. Anyways, for year 20 and 16,
Yes.
I think it's somewhere like when you pass the middle of the way. It's really important, right? From like 15 to 16.
Yes. Yes.
Do you have any recommendations of how people who is already in business
Yeah.
should be looking and focus on, to get through year
Just to the-
2016 beautifully?
Just right. So for most businesses, 2015 was a difficult year.
Right.
Right. We're 3/4 of the way through.
Right.
And I think that while the natural tendency of a business right now, it's going to be sales, sales, sales between now and the rest of the year, I have one alternative piece of advice.
And that is?
Take a week and focus on your people. They have worked hard for you for the last 9 months. There's 3 months left. Take a few days and celebrate whatever it is you've accomplished through the first 3/4 of the year. And just have a day or two for them to appreciate what they've done for you and to recognize what they've done for you. And then you can ask for one big push for 3 more months just to get through to the end of the year.
Right.
But just remember who got you this far first.
True, because sometimes we just, focus on
Yes.
business. We just forget about people
We
behind.
forget about how much our people have done for us. So every so often you just have to stop, pause, acknowledge and recognize the people. And maybe if they need a day off before you say, look, everybody gets a day or a half day, and now we're going for 90 more days to finish the year. Or
Right.
we'll short break and another sprint.
Or refresh.
Yes.
So that's for the people. What
Yes.
about the strategies? Do you
Okay.
think anything important that we should be focusing on for like the last quarter of the year?
Well, so strategies, when you're in the last quarter of the year, it's less about strategies and more about tactics, right? If you're not already talking to customers who are probably going to buy from you, it's too late to start now. If you are talking to new customers, they are customers that you're trying to get interest in your product, depending on what business you're in, but if you're in a business, a B2B, a business to business, decision making takes 3 months, 6 months, because businesses need to come up with the budgets to make decisions.
Right.
So I think also at the end of the year is you're focusing on the new relationships that you expect to buy from you at the beginning of the year. And sometimes a natural tendency is to go to the easier relationships to get them to buy more or who bought from you before. And it's very hard to have the discipline to use the end of the year to build new relationships. But if you don't build these new relationships at the end of this year, the first quarter of your next year will not be so happy.
So it's like getting ready.
Getting ready, because you
Like
said
charge.
well, you said something very important. You said strategy. So tactics are about closing and completing your business for this year. Strategy has a more longer term association to it. So a good strategy should be something that you lay the foundation for.
Right.
You assess what's different in the last 9 months,
Right.
and you're planning really for the next year from now. You're not waiting to the end of the year. It's the next year beginning tomorrow.
Right. So you need some time
Yes.
to lay on the plan.
Yes, it's a good thinking time too for a little to see what's changed. What has really changed in the last 9 months?
And do you think the trends will be much different for 2015 and 2016? Or
I think there's always some differences, so and it'll vary depending on the industry that you're in. Right?
upwards or downwards?
Both.
All right.
Depending on your what you use for your raw materials, there's a lot of commodities that got a lot of raw material that became a lot cheaper
Right.
during 2015. Those prices are probably now at all-time lows. If you're using gold or you're using silver, or you're
Right.
using oil as a raw material, you're never going to get it as cheap as you're getting it now. So you can probably expect your raw materials to go up going forward. But customers, I think demand in 2016, there's more people are hungrier for new product. I think you can definitely expect sales and demand to go up in 2016. We're not heading into a recession. We've come through a tougher time.
Okay.
And a lot of people are just expecting that 2016 is just going to be a much more better performing year for a lot of companies.
So let's say students who just graduated this
Yes.
year will be very, very lucky because they have time to plan the last quarter of the year,
Yes.
next year, bright start. So you think that students who graduated this year, next year when they start, what should they be thinking first thing to start up business
Okay, so
to match with the trend of 2016?
to match with the trends, they have to decide when you said a very important word. You said start up. Okay, so when you're starting up, let's say what that really means. It means what are you going to start with? And for them, they should be very focused on the most important customer that they want to win first, because your second, third, and fourth customers always want to know who bought first.
Right.
So when you get the right customer to buy first, it influences a lot of other customers. So be patient and pick the right customer that's going to set the right tone for your business and set a message to all the next customers of who are the type of people that you do business with.
So you think 2016 more business will be growing and that's
Yeah.
tougher than 2015?
I think if you've survived 2015, you're in a good shape. You're like a leaner person. Maybe your business had to take a small diet, but you're fitter. And I think the first quarter of the new year tends to be a higher buying quarter. People are
investing.
Yeah, if they've got new budget, most businesses have new budgets for the new
Right,
year,
right.
and they're ready to spend again.
Right.
And if they're feeling more optimistic about 2016, they're going to feel like spending earlier in the year, and you just need to be talking now to your customers about what are you likely to buy from us and when are you likely to buy from us and how can we get you to buy earlier in the year from us.
And as AEC is super clear right now that it's opening up, right?
Yes.
You think industrial business in Thailand will improve, will be better, and will be growing and flourish again? You know,
Yes.
after China have took most of the customer because of the wages are much lower.
Yes, and I think maybe people are willing to not be so over-reliant on China. I think a lot of countries have woken up to we should not depend on China for all of our supply and all of our demand. And I think a lot of customers have learned the lesson of they also need to diversify who they source products from. And Thailand is a very compelling alternative supplier for a lot of people.
Not that China is not good.
No,
Not as China
but
like-
you need to diversify. You
Right.
It's just not so good to rely on one source, because when that source runs into problems, it can disrupt your supplies or it can disrupt your demand. So if you're over-reliant on one market, I think it's a good time to have the discipline to always try to diversify.
Right, because I think all the countries, most of the countries, have been, contacting China for more business.
Yes.
And now they grow so much
Yes.
that sometimes contacting for business is not as easy anymore.
Not as easy, no. And so if everybody's focused on China, there's some advantages. Go, okay, where are people not focusing on? And if all your competition is focusing in one area, you should go try to see if you can focus on another area and be different.
So you think something different is something that you still have to look for all the time?
Yes, every business has to be different. Otherwise, you end up if you look the same as everybody else, you end up in a price war.
Right.
So when the business is different, it's harder to compete, and it's clear to your customers how you need to do something that is clear to customers. Why are you different, and why should they buy from you? And it's easier to make the case when you are different. At least there's something different for you to talk about, and when you're different, you can be more attractive.
So that's also an important point when you do export and also when you're importing stuff.
Yes. It's always, how can I make my product different from everybody else's? Because otherwise, why else? If a customer's already buying a similar product, there's no reason for them to stop buying whoever they're buying from to buy from you, unless it's just price. And if you're starting on just price, it's a short journey to running into trouble. So you have to understand, why is our business different, and find something to make your business different. I'll go back to your earlier example about the fabrics. You have a different design, you have a different level of customer service, you have different ways that people can pay you. Have something different about your business to give people a reason to consider you against what they're already using.
Sometimes you yourself understand, as a CEO, you
Yes.
understand how you want it different, but how do you get that idea and spread it out to people who work for you?
Yes, I think this is one of those times where it's easier now to communicate with your employees than ever before. Some companies are putting many of their employees on small line groups, for example. Right? Bringing our consumer communications into the business. So there's no excuse in 2015 and 2016 for not communicating your priorities to your employees. It could not be easier. Line groups, Facebook groups, emails, web pages. There's a lot of ways to communicate, and nothing beats just going to the employees and face-to-face meetings and telling them what the priorities are. But one of the trends that we were seeing in our research is there's an expectation to be a lot that employees want to know more about what the priorities of the business are.
Right.
And business leaders need to get more comfortable sharing more about their plans for the business to give the employee a chance to know how their work is relevant to the goals of the business.
But sometimes that is working well for bigger businesses, right? But for smaller businesses, for example, if you open up a restaurant,
Yes.
you are a chef.
Yes.
Sometimes people were scared, right, to share because they think employees would know everything in the business and they run it themselves after.
Yes.
How do you think we could solve that problem?
It's better to take the risk on sharing more, because the benefits of employees knowing more and being able to do more for the business, why are we doing what we're doing, the better employees can understand how their role fits to the goals of the business. I'm not saying share everything and all detail, but share, if you have any doubt on what to share an answer to a why. Not a what, a why.
Wow, that really makes sense, because some people that start up businesses, they forget about this stuff. They don't really care on how they should share information. They're just focusing on business, make sales.
Yes.
So you think we should look back on this stuff?
Yes. Well, nobody in the business will care more about the business than the founder or the owner.
Right.
So sometimes I think owners get disappointed when they're like, why doesn't the employee care as much as I do? Because they don't own the business. So there's now a trend for business owners to just communicate more with employees and share more about the company objectives and what success looks like for the business.
So when they believe in the business, then they do things.
Yes,
Right.
you get them by their heart, right? And I think sometimes we're used to getting them from their head, and we're saying, this is what you need to do, and how you need to do it, and that's talking to their head. But when you say this is why we need to do what we're doing, you're appealing to their heart, and I think the heart leads the head.
Right, and
In
that's
life
true success.
and in business.
Alright คุณผู้ชมคะเป็นยังไงคะเราได้พูดคุยกันมากมายนะคะเกี่ยวกับเรื่องการพัฒนาธุรกิจเดี๋ยวพักสักครู่มาติดตามกันในเบรกสุดท้ายค่ะ